Yeah, move on. Green light. Sorry. Shut it off. All right, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the edition of the Roundtable with Norua Edopolo. It's good to have you here. Good evening, Pastor Ezekiel, Brother Ibiyemi, Lima's from Lima. The Lima I know. Yeah, move on. Green light. Sorry. Yeah. All right, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the edition of the Roundtable with Norua Edopolo. It's good to have you here. Okay, so I'm having that feedback. I've removed it. Right. Okay, good evening. All right.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Kingsley. Good evening. BF, good evening, Mark.
Good
Thanks
evening,
for earlier
sir.
on today. Good evening. MOG, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
All right. Let me try.
Good evening, Pastor
Good
Narua.
evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Ma. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ma. Collar Babs, Black Keys. Thank you so much for joining. Right. So I have people on what you call it now, on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining people on YouTube. I have people on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining on Instagram. I have people on Zoom. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining. So let me ask quickly, when you heard the topic, getting it right at your second attempt at marriage, what came to your mind first? Okay, let me start with that today. Good evening, Kola Babs. So when you heard the topic, what came to your mind first? You can send your thoughts on chat, whether it's on hey, neighbor, my in-law, Gideon. Good to have you here, man. So what came to your mind first, when you saw the topic? Yes, anybody, just, on the chat, or if you want to, those of you who are on Olajumoke Joseph, thank you for joining. So what came to your mind first when you saw the chat? Rufina, hi. Good to have you here.
Good evening,
Matthias,
sir.
good evening. Yes, Matthias, tell me what came to your mind first. Good evening, ma. Pastor Mrs. Atoyebi, my mother in Israel. How are you, man? It's always a delight to have my mother in Israel join me. I refuse to be intimidated. Thank you so much, man, for coming on board. Thank you. Yes, so when you had the topic, getting it right at your second attempt at marriage, I'd like to know what came to your mind first. Okay, today is a frank conversation. So let me hear you. What came to your minds first? Yes, anybody? What came to mind was an opportunity for people to get the true position of things. Okay, all right. Ohaifo, all right. Thank you. Yes, anybody else? What came to your mind first when you saw, the topic? What was it that came to your mind? I thought I should start with that before I launch into what I have today. It's quite a loaded edition tonight. And I'll be having a very important announcement to make at the end of this particular session today. But let me hear from you. So what came to your mind first? Yes, what came to your mind first when you heard the topic? Getting it right on your second attempt at marriage. Only one person has said anything, no? Lima, Oyewole, Ibiyemi, Rufina, Uche, Dade, Tunde, Moses and Florence, Soji, Kingsley, BF. Please say something. Let me know I'm not alone. Thank you, my brother, Okaifo. You are the only one who has said anything, no? Nikki Lade, thank you. TRT with Norua. Yes, I'm listening. My in-house shrink. What came to you? Shalom, shalom, sir. Shalom, Lima. But tell me, what came to your mind first when you saw the topic? Getting it right on your second attempt at marriage. Yinka Adekoya, what came to your mind first? By the way, this is the round table with Noruwa Edopolo, and it's always a pleasure to have you spend this time with me. Tonight we have a very, very interesting topic. Of course, as you know, it's not for me, but I will hear what, yeah, sure. I mean, different folks at different junctions. I mean, it's not for me either, but, people are out there. It's not, but I want to hear what the pastor has to say. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So this is the round table with Noruwa Edopola. I'm your host. And my elder, sir, good evening and good to have you here. Getting it right on your second attempt at marriage. So some time ago, I posted a video on choosing a life partner. And afterwards, a dear friend of mine, a professional colleague, called me up and said, I watched your video. It blessed me. I've shared it with family and friends. But what about people attempting a second marriage? Now, that was, kind of like out of the blues. I'm like, what are you talking about here? And that was really the first time it struck me that, okay, opportunity to find ways to get my second attempt right. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that really got me thinking that, oh, yeah. And, the more I thought about it, the more it became clearer to me that there are people out there who, by whatever reason, and that was a very touching moment for me. This was a gentleman, by the way, not even a woman. It was a guy, it was a man that called me up, And so I began to, inquire, okay, so a second marriage, okay? Now, of course, I had to first deal with the barrier of, divorce or no divorce, etc., etc. I have my views on that, but this program tonight is not about how you got to the place where you are now having to consider a second marriage, okay? Was it by reason of, widowed, your spouse has passed on, a divorce, your spouse has disappeared? I don't know. And tonight, we're not about judging. Tonight, my purpose, maybe one day I will take up that particular conversation of, divorce and remarriage and all that, but that's not my topic for tonight. So however you got to this junction whereby you now are considering a second marriage, all right? The reason that got you here is not our discourse for tonight, is how to make sure that you get it right, okay? Or even get it better. Sometimes it wasn't as if it was wrong. It's just that your spouse has passed on, okay? So now you are contemplating a second marriage. And I'm asking, what can you do, to make sure that this second attempt at marriage will just be as good, if not better, than the first one you had, all right? Or if it was a case of, how do they say that thing now? Thank God, good radiance to bad rubbish or something like that. It was a horrible situation, blah, blah, blah. Now you are out and you are now contemplating stepping back into the water and you're wondering, how do I go about it? Okay. So that is the purpose of this conversation tonight. Like I always say, whatever I say on this program, I'm speaking for Noruwa Edopolo. So if you know me in any other capacity, just know that, I represent myself, I speak for myself, and I hold my views, okay? So I'm not speaking on behalf of any other entity, I speak for myself, okay? Just a disclaimer, just in case you know me in other capacities. Now, by the end of today, a couple of things I hope would have achieved. Number one, you will understand the characteristics and challenges of a second marriage. Number two, you know what to look out for before entering into a second marriage. Number three, you learn how to deal with the issues that will arise. Number four, you discover the best test for compatibility. Number 5, you know what a Christian should prioritize in a second marriage. You see, this is a global broadcast, so I'm not assuming that I'm speaking to only believers. So I'm going to go from a very broad perspective, and then we narrow down to what should matter to you as a Christian as you contemplate a second marriage, okay? And then, of course, I'll talk about, dangerous signs and signals that says to you, it's time to run. All right. If you pick any of those signals, then run for your dear life. So grab your journal, sit back, and let's dive right into this. This is the Roundtable with Noruwa Edopolo, and it's a program where we discuss life issues. Typically, I stay with relationships and leadership, even though sometimes I'm tempted to do politics, but I have successfully resisted that temptation. I would have, for example, it would have been nice to have a conversation about, don't speak ill of the dead, conversations about, prayer for the safe repose of the soul of the dead, etc., etc. But like I said, I don't want to go there. I'm tempted, but I will not go there. Rather, let's stay with second marriage. It's healthier for me. Okay, and please don't ask me any questions about those 2 comments I just made, all right? Now, take note of something. Second marriages are not merely repeats of the first one. They come with their own set of peculiarities, all right? I mean, just take note of it. You are getting married to a different human being with different circumstances, different life encounters, etc., etc., etc. You cannot take wholesome, everything that worked or didn't work in your previous relationship and just superimpose it on this new one. It is not going to work. All right. So let's look at some common challenges that you need to be aware of in a second marriage. Number 1 is many people enter a second marriage seeking companionship, stability, peace, rather than maybe even romance or excitement, So you need to ask yourself, what do I really desire this time? Oftentimes, people at that stage have, been there, done it, seen it, all right? So it's not really the excitement that you had at 21 or 22 that you're having at 40-something or 50-something or 60-something, as the case may be. So take note of that. So people come into the second marriage with different expectations, all right? The second thing is that oftentimes second marriages are blended families. Children from previous relationship, they require honest communication, gradual integration, and avoidance of surprises that can breed resentment. Now, you see, so he or she already was married, had children, and so as you are coming together, you've got to manage the relationships. You've got to manage the children. You've got to be able to, carry them along. Don't just come up one morning and say, "Hi guys, this is your new mommy." I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Or, "Hello guys, this is your new daddy." Sorry, it's not going to work. So, there's got to be systematic. You really need to plan it. It's almost like you date the person and you date the circumstances that you meet in the person's life. All right? You date the person and you date the circumstances that you meet in the person's life. You propose to the person, you propose to the circumstances that you meet in that person's life. Very, very important. All right? Propose to the person, propose to the circumstances, and wait for, yes, I do, from both the person and the circumstances of that person. Otherwise, you are heading into a tough situation. Of course, there's also the issue of trust. It says, if you were hurt or betrayed before, rebuilding trust takes time and intentionality. So you've got to have frank conversations about your past hurts, triggers, and how to support each other through them. In other words, if there's one thing that must be top, is transparency, is openness, okay? Oftentimes, I know this from my, counseling room. A lot of people have regrets and they will say, well, actually, I sensed this problem, but I didn't want to offend the person. I thought, we will get over it, etc., etc. But unfortunately, now they're married 5 years, 6 years, 10 years into the marriage. Those things that they thought they could deal with is not dealing with them. So this time around, you really want to be upfront and personal with your feelings and everything, all right? Get clarification, and then you build trust, particularly if you are coming from a troubled previous relationship, okay? Then, of course, there are issues of finance, okay? So, typically, first marriage, particularly in this part of the world, we don't go to school with loans. So you don't really have loans. It's either you don't have money or you have. So there's usually not the issue of you don't have loans, you don't have debts, etc. But if somebody has lived, in the 40s, in their 50s, you need to ask questions. You need to be very clear. All right. I know that they say that, in marriage is assets and liabilities. Yes. But guess what? Everything has to be put in black and white. All right. You need to know, how is my standing? All right. Because let me say this, there are a lot of freeloaders. There are people who are looking for people that they can leech on. All right. So don't be deceived by I love you, I love you. Show me your passbook. Let's talk about our finances. Are you owing? What are you worth? Very, very important. Somebody said surprises breed conflict. All right. Another thing is emotional baggage. All right. Are they coming with past trauma? Now, past trauma doesn't disappear magically. It must be addressed and healing must take place. Can I say this to you also? If you are getting involved in a relationship out of pity, out of sympathy, or whatever it is you want to call it, you are setting yourself up for crisis. All right. You've got to be sure that the person you are getting involved with, what's the word? You can cope with the person's emotional baggage. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Another thing to bear in mind is you must learn from your past mistakes. As much as we don't want to be haunted by yesterday, but at least it will be foolish to repeat the same mistakes. A failed marriage can teach powerful lessons about communication, compromise, and realistic expectations. So at least if I were you, by the time I'm thinking of a second marriage, I would have done a postmortem, a sincere postmortem. I would have had a frank one-on-one with myself. I would have told myself, you goofed here. You could have been wiser here. All right. You could have, stood your ground here. You could have yielded here. There was no need for that argument. You could have let this pass. All right. So at least you are coming into this new relationship wiser. Because sometimes people lose their, marriages, not for any other reason, but because they didn't manage the marriage well. The guy kept hinting, I don't like this, I don't like this, but you were tone deaf until he walked out on you, and then you are stranded, until she walked out on you, and then you are stranded. So take note, every marriage is unique. So awareness of these challenges will help you to prepare wisely. If you are just joining us, this is the round table with Norua Edopolo. And today we're talking about how to get it right on your second attempt at marriage. If you have questions, please feel free, whether on YouTube, whether on Instagram, whether here in the Zoom room with me, please feel free to, just stop me and ask your questions. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what do you look out for before you enter into a second marriage? What do you look out for? All right. I often say to people, they say love is blind. I agree. But you know what? Shine your eye and be sure before you fall in love. Okay? Love is blind, yes. Before you fall into that love, shine your eye and be sure. So that once you are sure, then you can become blind inside the love, not before. Okay? The blindness can only occur after you have looked at the person critically and you feel that this person is good to go. So what are some of those things that you should look at? Number one is compatibility. All right? It said look beyond chemistry. Do you share values, beliefs, goals, life directions? By now, you should know who you are and what you want. At a minimum, I mean, at this age, you shouldn't be, going between one and the other, between one and the other. You should be clear. It should be pretty much clear to you exactly what you want. And so, at this stage also, you really don't want to endure. No. It's either you are at that level or you are not. How many more years do we have anyway? I've gone through the first marriage. I endured it. I tolerated it. This time around, no. This is who I am. All right. I can't cook or I don't like cooking. Okay. So you've got to take it now that, you know what, if you are going to marry me, then is either you cook for yourself or we buy food or you hire a chef. So don't expect me to say you are the wife. Yes, I'm the wife, but I'm telling you now that this wife does not like cooking or this wife does not know how to cook. So take it or leave it. All right. I'm not going to pretend that I want to please you. I will please you in other areas. So if for you, making fresh soup for you every day is your definition of love, then the chances are we can't gel. It won't work. So number one is, number two is emotional maturity. It says, don't marry a child a second time. Look for someone that can communicate well, handle conflict maturely, take responsibility. Like I said, when I was 21 and you were 20, when I was 24 and you were 23, when I was 25 and you were 24, we could have said we didn't know what we were going in for. But hey, I'm 45 now, I'm 55, I'm 65. I pretty much know what I want. All right. I want to marry an adult, somebody who has crossed certain levels of maturity, somebody, who I don't have to tell you, I went here, then from here I went here, then from where I went here. No. If I say to you, I'm going to A, if along the way I choose to go to B, I should be able to call you and say, hey, I went to A, then I had a change of mind, and I also went to B without being afraid. Because I believe we are matured enough to recognize now that we have chosen each other by the grace of God consciously, okay? So another thing is what? Trustworthiness, okay? If you've been betrayed before, then ensure that this person earns your trust and keeps your trust. Honesty and reliability are a non-negotiable. It's a no-no, all right? I mean, you know how it is. You know how it starts. Sorry, I thought you said you were going to give me that money back today. Oh, is that what I said? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I meant I will give you the money back after I have traveled and come back. And you're like, hold on. That's not what this guy said. At that stage, run. Because it's only going to get worse. That's the truth. All right? If I don't trust you now, then that's it. I'm not going to even go further. Every other thing just dies there. Okay? How about financial stability? Be transparent about your assets, your liabilities, and your debts. Ask for proof if needed. Listen, like I said, shine your eye. We are both matured people. I'm working, you are working. So part of our conversation is bring your bank statement. And I bring my own. And we look at it. And we both decide how we're going to run our finances. All right? This is really an open relationship. In other words, everything, all the cards are on the table and they are face up. Okay? Another thing to look out for is family dynamics. I was talking to an elderly woman, not too old, in her 60s. And I said to her, Ma, have you thought about remarriage? She said, Pastor, I won't even go near it. I don't have the power. Do you know what it means for me to remarry at this time? That means I'm going to enter a family, I have to know them, they have to know me, and I have to cook for the man, take care of him, blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing, Pastor, I'm happy. My children are okay for me. I'd spent 6 months in London, 6 months in New York, 6 months in blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested. Now, is she right or wrong? That's a different conversation. But at least she knows exactly what she wants. All right. So you need to ask yourself, can I fit into this family? All right. Do they already have children? Are they ready for somebody? Some time ago, a sister declined to marry a widower because that particular widower had children that were challenged. Now, isn't the widower's fault? The wife died, it's not his fault. But it's also not the fault of the young lady that said, I can't cope. To enter a marriage at my age, and then, it's like, you enter the swimming pool for the first time and they throw you into the deep end and they leave you. Come on. All right. All right. If you have any questions, comments, observations till this point, please go ahead. I will pause for a moment or two to take your questions or comments, if there are any. I think there's something in the chat. Let me look at it. Yeah, there's something in the chat. Let me look at it. I want to know the perspective of pastors considering the stand of the church, especially Pentecostal. Well, like I said, I'm not dealing with doctrinal issues today. In fact, I don't even want to deal with it because it takes us away from the issue. You know, people can be dogmatic when their skin is not in the game. All right. It's a totally different story when you are the one who is involved. Okay. It's easy to pontificate when you're not in it. He says, this is deep. Love is blind, true, but shine your eye before you fall in love, then go blind. Yes, sir. Pastor Brito, very true. So let's talk about the issues. All right. So there are issues. Okay. I mean, brand new tear rubber, they have issues. How much more a second marriage after life has happened to you? There would be issues. Okay. So how do you deal with conflict when it arises? I'm just going to give you a very simple framework. All right. It's not perfect, but it's something you can start off with. Number one, identify the issue. You know, the last thing you want is the silent treatment, 1 week of not talking, 1 month of not talking, not at this age, for God's sake. No, I won't take it. If there's an issue, let's talk about it. That is why I would strongly recommend 6 to 12 months of dating or courtship before you say, let's go. And that 6 to 12 months ought to be in close proximity, not video calls. I'm in New York, you're in Lagos. No, in close proximity, so that you can know what you are dealing with. So you can see me in my natural, environment, see me with friends, see me with my children, if they are children, see you with your children, see you with your family. How do you relate with your ex-husband's family, your ex-wife's family, your late wife's family, your late husband's family? I need to know that you are up to par. I can't afford another baggage. Something goes wrong and then we switch off. Another 6 months of silent treatment and I'm 65. Excuse me. How many more years do I have to live that I'll go through that kind of thing? No. So I would encourage both of you should be able at this stage to have a frank conversation because you are meeting as adults. All right. Communication should be open. All right. Please don't expect the Holy Spirit to use his gift when we can talk to each other. All right. The gift of the word of knowledge and word of wisdom ought not to be at play between a husband and wife because we can talk to each other. So let's learn to communicate effectively. Also, learn to listen. Listen without being defensive. All right. Learn to work together to compromise where needed to solve your problem. So it's like, you know what? Something is wrong. I mean, so both of you, as mature, two mature people can come and say, you know what, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And then you talk about it. What do you think? I think that next time I should tell you before I go out. Okay. So I'm sorry I didn't tell you. The other person will say, yeah, I think that next time I shouldn't assume that you have gone to where I said you shouldn't go. So next time, I'm sorry, I won't do that. All right. I will ask you, where did you go? Those are mature people talking. All right. That's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to brainstorm solutions. So it's like you and I together versus the problem. Immature people attack themselves and not the problem. All right. You came back late. All right. You came back late, not once, not twice. So the problem is you're late coming. You are not the one that's the problem. It's your late coming. So both of us will come together and say, okay, you know what? Let's look at this late coming together. And why is it so? Oh, my work is so tedious. I don't close early, blah, blah, blah. Then we both look for a solution. Okay, you know what we'll do? I don't like being at home all by myself. So what I'm going to do is this. Since I close 7 and you close 9, option 1, I'm going to sign up for an evening program. Option 2, I'm going to go to my friend's place and wait for you there. Option 3, blah, 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 blah. Do you see that? So both of us are now on the same side and we are looking for a solution to the problem. Okay. There's a question here. Thank you very much. It says, kindly expatiate further, sir, about the lady who lost out in the first marriage because she couldn't cook and now straightening this out with a new suitor, either to cook by himself or order food or engage a chef. Does it mean she can't change, knowing that was why she lost out in her first relationship? It depends. Everybody assumes that every woman must love cooking. No. Does every man love driving? No. Does every man love changing tires? No. Does every man love painting the house? No. Does every man love carrying weights? No. It's part of our, gender, I don't want to, gender, issues to assume that because you're a woman, therefore you must learn and know how to cook by all means. What if she just hates the idea of cooking? Why do you approximate her entire womanhood to her ability to make okra soup or ogbono soup? You see what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. I don't think cooking is such a big deal as to be a deal breaker. The person that she married that left her because she couldn't cook was not matured enough. Because what's on a scale of 1 to 10, how important should cooking be as to break a relationship? So that's my take. Please, the floor is open. If you disagree with me, I really love to hear from you. I don't think that your ability to cook or otherwise should define your relationship or even define you as a human being, particularly if you bring other things to the table. Okay? Should you learn how to cook? Yes, you should, but it shouldn't be a deal breaker. That's my thoughts on it. Maybe we should stop here for a while. I like to hear people comment on this. Should a woman's ability to cook or not cook, should it be a deal breaker in marriage? Thank you very much, Pastor Kaj. He said cooking must not be a big deal to be a deal breaker. Thank you very much, sir. Yes. I'm surprised. The women are not talking back at me. I'm really surprised. Larinwa, Florence, I'm trying to pick out the ladies here. Dukbe, who else? Pastor Debola, are you still here? Buki, Bumi, Nike, Laide. I like to hear Olajumoke, Oyin Babs. Should cooking be a deal breaker? Thank you very much, Uche. I'm assuming this is Uche male, not female. All right. It says, should cooking be a deal? I don't think it should be a deal breaker. I don't think so. Oh, we have many more women here. Stella is here. Oh, mommy, I can tell me you are here. Glad to have you here, mommy. Is cooking important? Yes. Should you know how to cook? Yes. By the way, Uche, okay, thank you, ma. By the way, I cook. I'm not a woman, all right? So anybody can cook, but I don't think it should be a deal breaker. Those are my thoughts. If you think otherwise, please feel free to share your own mind, and I'll be glad to hear you. All right. So I said, brainstorm solutions together. So both of you align versus whatever the problem is, okay? Also, take action. If we've agreed on something, then let's go ahead and implement, okay? Do something about it. It's not nice that we had a meeting last month about something and you are repeating the same thing again this month, another meeting, and you're repeating the same thing again next month, another meeting. At some point, it becomes a joke, and that's not nice, all right? It says evaluate, assess if it worked. Okay, Larry says, I just feel that anyone that loves to eat should be able to prepare. Yes, the basics, man or woman. So the inability not to shouldn't be a deal breaker. Thank you very much. I don't think it should be a deal breaker. The two parties can always sort out cooking matters at home. Thank you very much, sir. Those are my thoughts also. I'd love to hear somebody who thinks that cooking should be a deal breaker. I really want to hear that person. Okay. Would it be going too far to say some men would be happy to cook as well? I don't think so, Yona. I mean, I love to cook. Fumilayo says it could be for some men. I agree with you. And so such a man, therefore, must make it clear from the onset that, babe, sorry, of everything that I desire in a woman, your ability to cook is number one. So if she cannot cook, then you go and look for somebody else. That's the way I see it. Look for somebody else that can cook so that you're cooking, it shouldn't, and that's why we're saying this second marriage, for God's sake, make sure all your key boxes are ticked. So if, for example, cooking is key for you, if I were you, the first thing you want to establish is, sir, ma, how are your cooking skills? That's it. Thank you very much on Instagram. Cooking shouldn't be a deal breaker, but discussion must be on how the family should be fed. I agree with you. Now, cooking and feeding your family are two different things. All right? That I cannot cook does not mean my family will starve. They are two different things. I may not be a good cook, but a near perfect project manager. So that means, for example, that in fact, if you come to my house, you always have options. Every meal, you have 2 soups. So that I cannot cook does not translate to my family will suffer. All right? I think there are two different things, so let's separate them. Bumi says, one man's meat, another man's poison. Some men don't joke with food, and they love homemade food. So those kind of men should look for women that love cooking. Yes, and leave career women alone. I agree with you. And that's what we're saying, that in this, your second attempt at marriage, please, I beg you in Jesus' name, make sure that whatever is important to you, you discuss and agree. Don't go in hoping that the person will change. No. All right? Don't go in hoping that the person will change. Go for what really matters to you, okay? It says the war that will break loose. All right. Okay. So that's it. The jury's out on cooking. All right. And then, of course, if need be, seek professional help. I was at a program, I think last month, June, and the speaker said something that really triggered something in me. She said, every 5 years, herself and her husband go in for marital counseling. Why? Because research says that people change every 5 years. For me, that was the first time I was hearing that. And so that has led me now to go into a teaching on the different seasons of marriage. I think we looked at that the last time we met. I'm going to be preaching on that in church on the last Sunday of this month, by the grace of God, at our second service at the Fountain of Life Sanctuary, Ladipo Oluwole, of Adeni Jones in Ikeja, Lagos. I'm going to be talking about different seasons of marriage, okay? All right, is there a question here? It says, I'm asking, looking broader at weaknesses or hard to change habits that hampered a previous relationship, how do you handle it? Many times, habits have been formed already over years of living. Yes. Thank you for asking this question, Daddy. So this is my take, all right? So let us assume that A and B have come together and they really think they have something brewing, okay? It then turns out that there is a sticky habit that A has that B cannot tolerate. And it's like, I love you so much, but question is, what is that but and what can be done about it? All right. Let's take our, what do you call it? The horse will be flogging, cooking. All right. So let's assume that, the guy says, you know what? I love you so much. Everything else is perfect, but cooking. And for me, cooking is really a big deal. And I mean, I'm assuming that the woman's lack of interest in cooking is not biological. In other words, it's not as if she enters the kitchen, something will happen to her. It's just that she doesn't like it. She may decide to say, you know what? Okay, I'll meet you halfway. All right. So what's your favorite meal? Oh, my favorite meal is ikokore. We have just buried the king of Ijebuland. So that's why I'm thinking of ikokore. All right. That's my favorite meal. So you know what? Because I love you, I will go and learn how to make a kokore. All right? So that I will be making it for you at least once a week. That's a compromise. That's wonderful. That can be done. Okay? But the problem is to not have that conversation and then to meet that habit inside the marriage. That's the problem. All right? And that's why we're saying have that conversation, agree before the marriage. Okay? Okay, somebody says here, Antifikayo says, there's a saying that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. This is more pronounced culturally with African men. They see the responsibility of cooking more with women. So if a man can't cook and the lady is not available to cook all the time, they should not continue to be in the relationship. It's a deal breaker in this case. True, man. I concede. You have the context you have presented. There's no other solution. You are very correct, man. Yeah, very correct. All right, so let's go on. So like I said, if everything else fails, please seek professional help. Go to counselors. Yes, I'm a pastor, but beyond that, I've also been trained in coaching and counseling, particularly in regards to relationship. All right. So go to a coach, go to a counselor, and get professional help. Second marriages, like all marriages, require intentionality. Be willing to work it out rather than just walk away at the first sign of trouble. No matter how much you do all this groundwork I'm telling you, there will still be some work to do when you get into the marriage. Now, let's talk about the best test for compatibility. If you are just joining us, this is the round table with Norua Edokolo, and we're looking at getting it right at your second attempt at marriage. Like I said at the beginning, how you got to this place where a second marriage has become an option is not the topic of our discourse. And I'm not judging you as to how you got here, whether it's right or wrong. My assumption is that you've gone through all of that and you have reached a place where you believe that the next thing to do is to get married again. And so I'm saying to you, take note of the things that we're discussing so that this time around, you up your chances of having a successful marriage. Now, how do you test for compatibility? Somebody said compatibility is more than feelings. Number one, let's talk about communication. Do they speak freely? Do they listen? Do they value your words? You know, hearing and listening are two different things. As I'm talking to you now, there are other sounds around me, but I'm not paying attention. I'm not listening to them. My assumption is that you too, where you are, there are other sounds around you, but you're not listening. So you are hearing them, but you are listening to me. All right. So does it listen to you? Does it listen to you? Do you have to, if you are calculating before you speak to the person, something is wrong. Okay, so how do I present it now? What do I say? Okay, I know what I would do. I will first ask him, how was your day? Then I will ask him, how's your mom? Then I will ask him about his first daughter that had a headache. Then I will then ask him that, do you remember what pastor said in church? How that, it's good to talk together. I mean, excuse me. If you have to do all that rigmarole to talk to the person that you hope to marry, then you should know that something is wrong. All right? Number two, how do they behave when there's conflict, all right? Are they humble enough to apologize when they're wrong? There are folks who always have explanations. They are never sorry. They will always explain it away, See, I'm the kind of person, let's take an example. I'm the kind of person that I like to hear you say you are sorry, all right? And this person that you want to now marry, instead of him to say sorry, he will buy you something. Yes, thank you for what you bought for me. But if you are not satisfied, tell him and say, Lagbaja, you know what? I noticed that sorry is a bit of a big deal for you. You rather spend money than say sorry. Well, I prefer the sorry to the money. So what are we going to do? Then both of you start working on it. All right? How about shared values? All right, some interesting comments on YouTube. Let me see if I can take them. Fumilayo says, what if after going for professional help and the man keeps saying the woman is the problem and is a chronic cheat who claims to be a Christian, also claims to be an African man? Fumilayo. Okay, I mean, that's a very nice question, but it will take me away from where we are. So can I say this to you, please? Let me finish. When I'm done, if we have time, then I will come back, okay? I think it's a very important question you are asking, but it will take me slightly away from, my focus. So I'd like to say to you, please allow me to finish. And when I finish, then we can look at that question. Okay. So conflicts. How do you resolve conflicts? Do they say sorry? You know, do they own up when they've done something? Or do they try to gaslight you and make you feel otherwise? Yeah. All right. Oh, my coach is here. Sarex Jim. Coach, how are you? Been a long time. Is there an alignment on values, on faith, on finances, on lifestyle? Can I tell you something? People rarely change after marriage. This is not the time for you to go and marry somebody who doesn't really see the need for church, who doesn't see the need for, you don't have to go to church all the time. We can pray for ourselves. It doesn't really matter whether you are Jehovah Witness or, we're all serving the same God, blah, blah, blah. You are playing with fire. All right. How about lifestyle? Do you have lifestyle compatibility? Do your routines, your leisure, your social life, do they align? Are your friends comfortable around this person? Do you find yourself having to hide? Before you met this man, you were flying business class. But now that you have met him, you want to downgrade to economy so it doesn't look as if, you are showing off. Something is wrong. All right. And then do you have emotional connection? Okay, Dupe says, how do you handle a man who truncates counseling and feels he has everything under control, doesn't accept his fault, a man that used to go to church and just stopped? Dupe, your question is along the same lines of that of Fumilayo. You are speaking to existing relationships. Today, I'm focusing on about to start relationships, okay? But again, if I have time, I would come back to them and I will address them. So please bear with me, okay? So talk about emotional connection. Do you trust this person? All right. Do you have a physical attraction to the person? Because don't forget, marriage will at some point be consummated. Are you ready? All right. Are you attracted to that person? And then, of course, there's what you call the gut feeling. Do you feel peace and joy or anxiety or dread in their presence? Don't ignore that inner alarm. All right. Do you feel peace? Do you feel joy? Do you feel anxiety? Do you look forward to them? Or are you dreading another meal? Oh my God. If that's the way you feel about them, something is wrong. All right. If you are just joining us, this is the round table with Norua Edopolo, and we're looking at getting it right at your second attempt at marriage. Now, for those of us who are Christians, let's look at some key considerations that you should pay attention to. Like I said, my audience may be diverse, so I've spoken generally, but now in specific terms, I'm talking to the Christian. Number one, is there an alignment in faith? Now, please note, even amongst Pentecostals, there are sometimes sharp doctrinal differences. So if you are crossing Pentecostal doctrinal lines, please make sure that you tick the same boxes on the things that are critical to you. All right? Baptism, Holy Ghost baptism, speaking in tongues, children's church, the role of the man, role of the woman, one man, one wife. All right? Even among some Pentecostals, these things don't all, they're not lined up in the same directions, okay? What is their commitment to marriage? Marriage is a covenant, not a contract. Do they see it like that? There's a difference between a covenant and a contract. All right. How about forgiveness and grace? Are they willing to forgive? All right. Are they willing to forgive? Are they willing to receive forgiveness? How do they treat your existing family members? All right. Is there mutual love and respect? At this stage, by now, it should be clear that that famous wife submit unto your husband is preceded by the passage, the verse that says, submit ye one to another. All right. So how are they on those things? Okay. I'm checking my time. We have 10 minutes and I have questions to answer. Very quickly now, some red flags. If they are rushing you to make a decision, run away. If they are pushing you to commit quickly, run for your dear life. All right. If there's a sense of let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. No. When they haven't answered all your questions, when you still have lingering doubts in your mind, and they're just rushing you, let's go to the registry. You don't even need your parents. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Run. All right. If they're not communicating, if there's no openness, secretiveness, unwillingness to listen, you discover things they don't reveal. You get it? You discover they don't reveal. That's a sign that you should run for your dear life. Do they have unresolved issues from their past relationships? Are they still in contact with their ex-partners? Those are signs that trouble may be knocking. All right. Do they have red flags? Are there red flags in their behavior, dishonesty, controlling tendencies, addictions, denial of issues? It's like, where did you go? Who are you talking to? Can I see your phone? Blah, blah, blah. It's a bad sign. And then if there's lack of commitments, if they aren't ready to face challenges together, if they're just looking for somebody to hop onto the next, trip, maybe you want to reconsider the relationship. So, final thoughts. Second marriages are not automatically better. So take time to heal, take time to pray, seek wise counsel, learn from the past experience. And if your first marriage is struggling, seek counseling before seeking divorce. Maybe I should just say it here that just like my father, me too, I hate divorce. All right. Me too, I hate divorce. All right. So for those starting over, I encourage you to seek God's guidance for your next steps. Remember, your second attempts can be your best if you get it right. So let me take some questions specifically to the topic before I address the issue that was raised by Fumilayo and Modukbe. Questions, comments, observations? All right, let me take a stab at Fumilayo's question. What if after going for professional help and the man keeps saying the woman is a problem and is a chronic cheat who claims to be a Christian, also claims to be an African man? Fumilayo, it's a bit difficult to answer your question without me asking a whole lot more questions. In other words, you know how when you go to the hospital and the doctor says, and you say, doctor, I have a pain in my neck, I have a pain in my leg. A good doctor will not start prescribing. He will ask you to go to the lab and they will run some tests. In the same way also, I'm careful to comment because I have questions to ask. All right. How did you meet this man? Was he always like this? If he wasn't always like this, what changed? All right. You'd be surprised that sometimes even something you did may have triggered it. For example, in the beginning, he was the one that was earning money. You were not working. And then life happened. He lost his job. You are not the one. You are not the major breadwinner. And that changes the dynamics of the house. So the man that was nice and friendly suddenly becomes something else, Aha. So why is it cheating? Is it cheating because you always have back pain or headache? Or is it cheating because he's just prone to that type of life? Okay. He's a Christian. He claims to be a Christian. He's an African man. Is he involved in church? Does your pastor know him? All right. Has he gone to discipleship class? People can be a Christian because they raised their hand one day and that was it. He raised his hand one day. He has never gone through a systematic study of the scriptures. So he doesn't know the God he believes, which is why he can default to African religion, at slightest provocation. So that's it, Formula. I hope I've been able to attempt your question to some extent. How do you handle a man who truncates counseling and feels he has everything under control, doesn't accept his fault, a man that used to go to church and then just stopped? Again, one would really need to know more to be able to deal with this. Are you enabling his bad behavior? For example, are you the breadwinner? Are you sponsoring him in spite of his bad behavior? Are there ways you can check him? Does he have levers you can press or push for him to behave better? Some of those questions will need to be answered. Does he have anybody he respects? Is there a name you would call and he would jump up? All right. You need all those kind of answers to be able to know how best to attend to this. All right. I think if a person is in contact with his or her ex, it's not a red flag, okay? This is inevitable, especially when there are children involved and decisions. Yes, ma'am. I think the involvement that we're speaking about, there's a way you can be involved with your ex that has crossed this line that you have just explained now. In fact, what should happen is, I'm involved with my ex because of the children. I carry my present partner along. Are you with me? Because I need to build trust. Oh, that is Jide's father. That is Tokumbo's mom on the phone. I put it on speaker. So, okay, fine. The school says we should do X, Y, Z. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so on my way, okay, I'll be coming with my wife. You get that way you give comfort to your wife or husband that there's not much. Don't forget, somebody you've dated before, married, slept with, sometimes the chemistry can awaken itself. So you need to reassure your spouse now that the relationship is truly and sincerely, finished. Should intending couples in second marriage short at marriage discuss what the deal breaker is? Of course, of course. They should. They should go for counseling and they should discuss everything. All right. This has been the roundtable with Norua Idokolo. If we don't have any more questions, we have 3 minutes to the hour. How do you manage generational gap difference, especially if it's a big gap like 15, 20 years gap? In other words, what you are saying is that one of them, assuming the man is 60 and the woman is 40. Well, at 40, you are matured. So it depends on what you want. So a 60-year-old probably will not give you too much stress if things are in order in his life. It should be settled. So it means that, it's like, I've suffered though. My first 40 years, I carried load for this man. This time around, I want to enjoy. So this man is wadded, he has money, he lost his wife. He's just looking for somebody to spoil with his money. Oh yeah, go and marry him. Are you getting it? The age difference, when we get older, we're a bit more matured. A 30-year-old marrying a 20-year-old, that's dangerous, in quotes. The gap is much. But by the time you cross 40 and 50, a 50-year-old woman can marry a 70-year-old man, can marry a 65-year-old man, because both of you are matured now. You understand? A 50-year-old woman can marry a 70-year-old woman, man, because you are matured now. But if a 50-year-old man should not go and marry a 30-year-old lady. All right. So that's what I think on that. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm 34 and I'm married 22. Well, oh, I was just about to say, if it works for you, that's great. And the guy follows with, it's been hell. Don't mind that I'm laughing, please. It's because of the way it happened. I was just about to say, if it's working for you, good for you. And then bingo, I just saw that it's been hell. Well, again, questions to ask, why has it been hell? It would be nice to know why. Is it you? Is it her? It's never been great. Okay, thank you, Fumilayo. I'll message you privately, so that's good. Is there recording available after? Yes, we're live on YouTube. So just go to my YouTube channel, The Round Table with Norua, and you will find it there. All right. Right. Okay. Any other comments or questions? I have an important announcement to make before we round up today. Any other question or comments before we wrap it up for today? Oh, by the way, let me share. Let me share my. Somebody wants to go live. Okay, we still have some time, so let's see. Go live with or lying. You want to go live? Okay, so I've enabled you. Let me see. Let me see if I can. if I can, I want to share my, it's never been great, lack of parental withdrawal. Yeah. Bible says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two of them shall become one flesh. That cleave is like saying gum to your wife, adhesive, become one. All right. Nobody should come between you, not husband, not wife, not daddy, not mommy. So sometimes when they don't cleave properly, that's what happens. Okay. I want to just quickly show you my e-commerce page. And so I can just share with you some of the products that we have before I round up. Where is it? Just a moment, please. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking for. All right, there it is. Okay. So let me share my screen. Yes, if you have questions, please go ahead and ask. It'll be my pleasure to answer. Let me see if I can share my screen very briefly. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yes. Okay, very good. Very good. Can you see my screen, please? Let me know if you can see my screen, please. I'm not sure if yeah, okay, very good. Yes, should be showing now. Since we're talking about relationship, this is a free one, so you can actually come here and just download this. If you go to seller.com and look for Norua, you will find me. This is a free one. 7 questions every couple must ask before they say I do. So that's a free one. Copy of my business book on your marks. But this is what I'm focused on today. Life coaching, relationship coaching, life purpose. So between these two, those of you who have marital issues, you may find an answer between these two, life coaching and relationship coaching. Remember, this is the link, seller.com/m/norua-joseph-adopolo.1. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Now, this episode of the Roundtable will be my last episode for a season. I'm going on a short vacation, so I want to put it on hold so I can rest. It's quite exhaustive, and also to rethink the program and see how we can bring it back stronger and better. So this is my last episode for a season. I'm not sure yet when we'll be back, but I will communicate. She takes the child to her parents' house and enrolled her for school there. Wow. Max, you may want to get in touch, see how we can be of help to you. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed today's edition, which turns out now to be the last for a season. I need to go back and rework this. Thank you so much, everybody. I really have enjoyed myself on this journey with you. Remember, it has been the Roundtable with Norua Edokpolo, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you, everybody that joined us on Instagram. Thank you. Everyone that joined us on YouTube. Thank you. Everyone that joined us on YouTube. Thank you. Everyone that joined us on Zoom. Thank you very much. I hope to do this again sometime in the future, but not immediately. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.